Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. My name is Christopher Moldong, and I am an author. Today I will do manga reviews for UQ Holder Volumes 1 to 3. Next week I will review Volumes 4 to 6. Also check out my reading of The Orthodox Clash, pages 11 to 16, and next week pages 1 to 3 of my fantasy short story, The Frog of the Crown. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismoldong.com. You can buy my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99. Also for $2.99 you can buy my short story collection, a collection of 10 short stories in the horror, fantasy, and realistic fiction genres. Check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page. Links to all these will be provided on the description. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel if you're on YouTube, or follow, share, and comment on this channel if you're listening to this on SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. So, this is how it's going to work. It's going to have some major spoilers here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to review a volume and give a pretty detailed recap of the events of the volume, and to give my thoughts on the volume until we go through all 3 volumes. So, let's go start with UQ Holder Volume 1. We are introduced to Evangeline A.K. McDowell, a vampire who has been alive for over 700 years. We see Evangeline with Class 3A from Negima, and her saying goodbye to them and pretty much being alone. She says that this is a story of those who, for whatever reason, got stuck in this sucky existence. We are then introduced to village boy Tota Kanoe and his 4 friends. We are then shown Yukihime Sensei, who is surprise attacked by Tota and his friends. They can't even hit her as there's a barrier blocking her, and she defeats them easily. They get lectured by her, and they then ask if she was using magic. Yukihime then talks with another teacher, Tachibana Sensei. He asks if she really did use magic. The teacher reveals that the world has known about magic for 10 years now. There are apps for magic that anyone is able to use, but they're expensive. We're then shown Tota paying his respects in front of some graves, his mom's, his dad's, and grandpa's, who is Negi Springfield. His friends visit him. One of them asks, "Do you still blame Yukihime Sensei?" One of his friends reveals that Tota's parents died in a car crash on the way to the village. Yukihime Sensei was driving the other car. It was 2 years ago. Yukihime and Tota were the only survivors. Tota doesn't have any other relatives, so Yukihime took him in. A friend reveals that they all want to go to the capital. They all look at the capital, and particularly at the base of the tower. Tota reveals that Yukihime came from the top of that tower. He says that they'll beat Yukihime, climb the tower, and go beyond it. He then reveals that he doesn't have any memories from before the accident. Yukihime comes home, and Tota tries to surprise attack her, but Yukihime defeats him. Tota asks her to teach him magic. He mentions that she had some sort of barrier, and that he hit her 7 times. A flashback is shown with a man and woman stabbed with spears or like swords, covering a young Tota as Yukihime watches. She takes him and raises him. Yukihime has tickets to the zoo and asks Tota if he wants to go. He refuses and starts to train. The next day, Tota and his friends try to attack Yukihime but get defeated. Afterwards, Tachibana Sensei appears and asks them if they're interested in learning magic. He then teaches them magic and gives Tota a bracelet. Back at home, Tota gives Yukihime the bracelet, and she wears it the next day. 2 of Tota's friends teleport beyond Yukihime and use binding magic on her. The other 2 friends appear and tell her that it's the latest magic app. Yukihime tries to use magic on them, but it won't activate. The four boys then get knocked out by Tachibana Sensei. He reveals that he's been teaching there for 6 months and she didn't give him an opening. He also reveals that she has a bounty on her of 600 million yen, or 6 million US dollars. Tachibana uses a spell on her. He then creates a sword. Tota comes with his own sword. Looks like a wooden sword. Can't really tell though. And tries to attack Tachibana from behind, but Tachibana reads it and knocks him down. Tachibana then cuts off Tota's left arm. He goes for a death blow, but Yukihime blocks it with her arms. Tachibana then cuts Yukihime in, it looks like five plus pieces. He then stabs Tota through the chest and pretty much through the heart. Turns out that both Yukihime and Tota are still alive. Tachibana then approaches Tota's friends, who are lying on the floor unconscious, and Yukihime reveals that Tota is a monster, a completely immortal monster. It's only temporary, and she did it to Tota 2 years ago. She tells him that if he chooses to stand, then drink her blood, and he does. Tota gets up with a sword and only having one arm. Tachibana uses magic to get rid of his other arm. However, they regenerate, and he punches Tachibana in the stomach, which causes him to fly into a van. Yukihime, who is uninjured, takes care of Tota on the ground. She tells him that his friends are safe and reveals to him that her real name is Evangeline A.K. McDowell and that she's a 700-year-old vampire. She tells Tota that 2 years ago she made Tota immortal. Later, we see Tota saying goodbye to his friends as he and Yukihime are heading to the capital, which is called Amano Miyashira Shin Tokyo, by foot. Yukihime and Tota train against each other. Tota does relatively well, but Yukihime beats him. She says that he has a natural talent for martial arts. Yukihime then offers to teach him Shundo, but he refuses. He says that he's not interested in getting stronger. She tells him that he'll stop growing and his voice won't change now that he's immortal. And Tota runs off and sees a village. On a small hill, Tota sees a group of kids picking on a girl. Tota then drives them off. The girl shows Tota a motorcycle that she's fixing up, and Tota helps her fix it. The kids and 10-year-old Evangeline watch as they fix it, which is like pretty much her normal form. The girl tells Tota that she wants to leave the village and go to the top of the tower, and they fix the motorcycle, and the girl drives it around. She introduces herself as Shinobu Yuki. They talk about the Neo Olympics. It's a 6-month festival and the greatest in all mankind. The biggest event is the grand race around the solar system. Entering that race is Shinobu's dream. Tota tells Shinobu that his friend has a dream to sing at the closing ceremony of the Neo Olympics at the legendary hall at the top of the tower. Tota reveals that one of his dreams is to be a backup singer for him. One of the kids rides a motorcycle but loses control. Shinobu gets on the motorcycle and throws the kid off. She goes over a cliff, but Tota saves her. Yukihime as Evangeline appears before them. She then takes a pastille to look older, to look like Yukihime again. Tota says goodbye to Shinobu, and he and Yukihime continue on their journey. Yukihime tells Tota not to make friends and that he'd regret if he did. Then he tells Yukihime that he's going to take a bath at a waterfall that they pass by. As he takes a bath, he runs into a person's butt. Pretty much floats onto it. This person gets a sword and attacks Tota. Tota thinks that this person is a girl, and this person gets mad and attacks him again. They walk through an empty town. Tota says that more towns are turning into ghost towns, and most Japanese live in the capital. About half of them live in the boonies. The person introduces himself as Kuramaru Tokisaka. Kuramaru reveals he came from space. Tota says that they are best buds. And Kuramaru reveals that he's looking for someone. He must find this individual and finish his work, or he will never be allowed in his homeland again. His target is Evangeline A.K. McDowell. Tota reveals that Evangeline is his chaperone. Kuramaru says that Evangeline would never accompany a human, but then notices that Tota has no reflection on some glass next to them. Then Kuramaru reveals that he comes from a clan of demon slayers called Fushigari, immortal hunters in Japanese. Kuramaru then tries to attack uh, Tota with a Shinmei School secret technique, rock slicing sword. So that should be familiar with like in Negima, and I think it's even in Love Hina as well. Yukihime gets between the two and stops the sword in mid-swing just by grabbing the sword with her thumb and index finger. She then strikes through Kuramaru's body. Shown a flashback of Kuramaru being told by her Nisama, or by his Nisama, to slay Evangeline, A.K. McDowell. If Kuramaru fails, then he is told not to come back and to take his cursed body away. Some other members of the clan refer to Kuramaru as a nuisance and problem. Yukihime throws Kuramaru to the ground and Tota sees his chest healing. Tota peeks into Kuramaru's pants to see if he has a winky, but Kuramaru wakes up and attacks him. Tota says that he didn't see anything. Yukihime tells Kuramaru that if he can defeat Tota, then she will fight him, and Kuramaru comments that Tota's battle instincts are astounding, despite his clear lack of battle experience. He cuts off Tota's head, but Tota grabs it, reattaches it to his body, and finishes Kuramaru with a punch. So he defeats Kuramaru, and Kuramaru says to Tota to kill him, but Tota just wants to be his pal. Yukihime, Tota, and Kuramaru then travel together. Kuramaru says that they are natural enemies and will never be friends. Then he shows Kuramaru the contract that they made that says that they're best buds for life. Yukihime offers Kuramaru to be her disciple, and then they reach a spa town and stay at an inn. Tota and Kuramaru take a bath in the hot springs together. Tota asks Kuramaru to come with him and Yukihime, but Kuramaru is still hesitant. Yukihime appears and challenges the two to take the bath towel that she's wearing from her. With Kuramaru's help, Tota manages to take the bath towel from Yukihime, but he doesn't care to see her naked body. Kuramaru and Tota shake hands, and Kuramaru reveals that he will continue on under the premise that the two are friends. They continue their journey. Kuramaru thanks Yukihime for taking him on as a disciple. Tota asks Kuramaru to go around with him and make as many immortal friends as they can. Tota says that they'll form a team and be an immortal family. Yukihime reveals that there was one person who had the same idea. A car suddenly comes by, and a man comes out of it, calling Yukihime Mistress Yukihime and being glad to see her again. More cars then appear. More people come out of the cars and call Yukihime Ane-san. Kuramaru gets out his sword, but Yukihime tells him to put it away. So a group of formally dressed men bow to Yukihime and form a line, and they seem to want her. That pretty much leads to one of the cars. They all tell Yukihime that they have come to take her home, and refer to her as Yukihime Ane-sama, or Ane-san. She tells one of them that she thought she was out of the group. He tells her that she'll always be their leader. Yukihime reveals to Tota that there was once someone who had the same idea that he did. That person and Yukihime created a family of the Undying, UQ Holder. Yukihime tells Tota of real immortals and not real immortals. So some of them are like kind of immortal, like you can cut them and they'll regenerate, but they do actually die and whatnot. So at the end of the volume, Tota says that he wants to be friends with all of them. So some thoughts on UQ Holder Volume 1. Some first impressions. Pretty violent. A lot of blood and gore. The idea of immortality is a bit questionable in the sense that these people can't really die, and it seems to give them something of an unfair advantage when they go off into battle and whatnot. Granted, many characters from Negima, including Negi, were just impossibly powerful as well. Rockon, like pretty much all of Ala Rubra. Um, who else? Negi, Fate, Evangeline. They were all just so impossibly powerful. It does allow for more visceral battles, though, and even some clever strategy. It's like, oh, you cut off my arm, I'm going to throw it at you, or something, or like, you cut off my head, I'm going to grab it and reattach it to myself. So they have that going on, but yeah, it's pretty, I guess, strange. It's a new idea. They're all immortal, but just the idea of that they're all immortal, they can't die. So it's like, okay, you're fighting each other, but you can't die. So it's like, okay, like you're always gonna win, in a sense. I mean, once again, it's like in Negima, I mean, or anything, you kind of know the good guys are gonna win, but in this case, it's like, oh yeah, I cut her, or I cut him. Oh, you regenerated. Okay, like the consequences um, are not as severe, and therefore they had to make it like they had to cut body parts off to show the severity of what they had to do to the immortals. Um, so we know that I mean, this might actually just be Evangeline's story. She's Yukihime now. Um, she, as Yukihime though, she honestly does come across to me like a more mature Evangeline, and does seem like a pretty different character. She actually has a job now. She seems to be more into like being an adult, whereas like as Evangeline, she was a kid, and just kind of acted as such. Yeah. The way she dressed, the way she acted, at times she just sat around and played video games and whatnot. Now it seems like Yukihime is like a full-fledged adult, has adult responsibilities, and kind of carries herself in a more mature manner. Um, Tota Kanoe. Well, one thing that's very telling is his last name's Kanoe, and Kanoka, her last name was Kanoe. So can we make the assumption that Negi got together with Kanoka? Because, like I said, I don't know if this is a coincidence that he has that same last name. Um, he's different from Negi though. He seems like a natural when it comes to battle. Tota does train. I felt that Negi trained a lot more, and they'd have volumes just dedicated to Negi training, and maybe that's going to happen with Tota, but initially at least, it seems that Tota has it a little easier for him, and things come a little more naturally for him as far as battle goes than Negi. I mean, Negi was pretty easy for him too, but you saw this guy, he was always training, using the resort and whatnot. Tota didn't have those same luxuries and already seems to be quite skilled in battle. So Negi Springfield is dead. It's kind of a surprise. Uh, Reason being, in Negima, Negi was supposed to be immortal. Um, the story was that he died in one of the battles in Mundus Magicus, and Magia Revia was the thing that kept him alive and kept him immortal, along with being a part of the royal bloodline and whatnot. But it was said that, yeah, he's immortal now. He regenerated and whatnot later on. And yeah, so it's very surprising that he's dead. We don't know how he died, what was the situation that caused his death. Uh, I do have a feeling that Negi's name will be brought up more as we go along with the story, though. Him being connected with Tota obviously is going to be pretty big too. But right now, we'll see what role Negi has. Maybe he's just a flashback. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see Negi in some way, shape, or form. Um, as of right now, though, he is deceased. We got introduced to characters like Shinobu. She's just kind of there. I don't know. She wasn't particularly interesting to me. Doesn't have any particular skills or can fight. I mean, she can ride a motorcycle, I guess. Doesn't appear to be immortal either. It's kind of just a chapter that was just kind of there, like a part of the journey, I guess. Kuramaru seems to be a more important character though. Has a Shinmei school style of fighting. Uh, he's a lot like Setsuna from Negima, honestly. Um, he's seems pretty nice, very polite, uh, very focused on the mission, um, and good with the sword. The whole thing, with him looking like a girl, but as a guy, I guess. I don't know. Tota didn't see a winky. So, I don't know. I don't know what that means as far as like what bearing it has to the story right now. It's just kind of something that the creators seem to have just kind of invented for this character. What it actually means, I don't know. Maybe it's just something to be comical about. I don't know. We now know what UQ Holder is. It's a family of the Undying. I kind of expect that we'll see some characters that are going to be really strong further in UQ Holder, the organization. Um, Yukihime said that her and one other created UQ Holder. Has to be assumed that's Negi. Okay, on to Volume 2. The volume begins with Yukihime, Tota Kirimaru, and one of Yukihime's men in a car. They then go by boat to reach the UQ Holder hideout, Sin Kyokan, which is a spa/resort. Tota tries to befriend the other members but don't accept him. He then declares to be Yukihime's number one disciple and announces that him and Kuramaru are joining them. We are introduced to Gengoro Makabe, Karen, and Iku Ameya. We are told that the man in the car with the three of them is Basago. Gengoro reveals that they are all immortals. Gengoro introduces himself to Tota. Then Tota tries to introduce himself to Karen, but she gives him the cold shoulder. Gengoro tells Tota and Kuramaru that in order to join UQ Holder, they have to pass their test. He reveals that underneath the capital is a labyrinth of tunnels. He then gives them 8 years to pass the test. Trapdoor pit suddenly appears beneath Tota and Kuramaru, and they fall in. Standing in water, they see a part of some sort of creature. Kuramaru tries to fight it, but someone tells them not to fight it. He introduces himself as a leader of UQ Holder, Jinbei Shishido. Kuramaru senses no weaknesses in Jinbei, and that he's not an ordinary human. Jinbei reveals that he's been down there for 2 years, and that Yukihime sent him down there. Some monsters attack Tota and Kuramaru. One of them eats Tota's left arm. They make it to higher ground, and Kuramaru shows Tota some magic that he can use. He also shows Tota chi energy. They are there for a day and run into a waterfall with a sea monster, run into giant spiders and other things. Jinbei appears and tells them that what those monsters can do to them. He says that 8 years sounds about right. Tota declares that he'll get out of there in 1 week, but Jinbei tells him that there's no way out. Jinbei takes Tota's right arm and then explains the difference of Kuramaru's immortality and Tota's. Kuramaru regenerates. With Tota, as long as a body part still remains, he doesn't regenerate and would need to get that body part back to reattach itself. Jinbei then gives Tota his right arm back. Jinbei tells Tota that he'll need to get his left arm back from one of those seal monsters that ate it. He then agrees to coach them. Kuramaru fights Jinbei and then reveals that his whole body is covered in scars. Tota joins in the fight and uses a Shundo technique and gets a strike off Jinbei. Jinbei then grabs their fists and puts them down and neutralizes them. He then tells them that he's on their side and takes them to his home. They reintroduce themselves. Kuramaru reveals that he's been immortal for 4.5 years and that he was a test subject for sorcery-induced immortalization. Jinbei reveals that he has been immortal for 1,400 years. He received his immortality from eating mermaid flesh. He reveals that his regenerative powers aren't that strong, poisons can kill him, or getting his head cut off can kill him. The coaching begins. First, Tota and Karamaru are told to test their skills and to defeat as many monsters as they can, but Tota runs away immediately. Karamaru defeats a monster but runs away after many more show up. Jinbei suggests that Tota needs a weapon. They go to a place that was the hideout of a certain evil wizard, which is most likely Alberio Ima, and if you look at the place, it was his underground hideout up until 30 years ago. He made a magic sword and left it there in a stone. Tota calls it a gravity blade. Back with Yukihime, she reveals to Karen that she lived with Tota for 2 years, which greatly angers Karen. In terms of immortal power, Karen and Tota are the top two. Yukihime reveals that no one can open the door to the underground until they've exterminated all the vermin. She also just remembers putting Jinbei down there. Tota tries to remove the gravity blade, but is initially unable to. Not long afterwards, Tota removes it. Tota reveals that there's a dial from light to heavy on the gravity blade. Jinbei makes the sword extremely heavy, 500,000-fold, and throws it, causing the place where they're at to get destroyed. Jinbei tells Tota that if he can handle the sword at 200, then he'll give them their next lesson. Kuramaru tells Tota some training to work on his chi, and he does it. They train, and 1 month later, Tota is able to wield the gravity blade. Jinbei tells them that he has nothing left to teach them. They fight the steel monsters and get Tota's arm back, his left arm. Tota can use the gravity blade at 1,000. He eventually gets his left arm back. Karen, Iku, and some children are next to a forbidden well that leads to the underground. Tota and Karamaru come through that well, and then Karen attacks Tota, and Tota challenges her to a fight. They fight, but Gengoro stops them by picking them up, even though Tota is using the gravity blade and has some weight to it. It's revealed that Tota and Karamaru got out in just a month and a half, which is much shorter than their 8-year expected time. Jinbei gets out of the well and says he'll vouch for the two. He then leaves as Gengoro asks where he's been these last 2 years. Iku introduces Tota and Kuramaru as the two newest members of their undying corps, Numbers. So they're part of Numbers now. Tota is number 7, Kuramaru number 11. Many of the members show their true forms of just Yuki holders, with many of them being monsters and demons. Tota says that his first order of business is to be top dog, and a flashback is shown with a badly injured Tota lying on Yukihime's lap next to some cherry blossom trees. Yukihime apologizes to Tota for not being able to save his parents. She also says they were too powerful. Tota sees a tower in the distance. So, we're out of the flashback, and the next day, Tota is on a beach hanging out with some of the low-level members. Tota complains about having to clean floors. He then says that he wants to speak to Yukihime, but he's told that he can't because he's a peon and she's the boss. Basago, who we find out is a UQ executive, appears and tells Tota that he just got his first job. Kuramaru and Karen will be his backup. Karen catches Kuramaru naked. Kuramaru denies being a woman. She asks Karen not to say anything, and Karen says that she'll pretend to see nothing. Karen then tells Kuramaru that they have a job to do and that the children are in danger. The three run to their destination and talk about a land shark and heading to the slums. A group of men head to the church, and Tota defeats them. Turns out they were bodyguards from Yukiholder. It's revealed that the Neo-Tokyo slums population is over 2 million, and we're introduced to slum nun Mikon Kasuga and orphanage matron Sister Mao. And yes, Kasuga is a descendant of Misora Kasuga, from Negima. Mikan reveals that they own the rights to all the land in this region. Big, tough guys come around every day, demanding them to sell the land to them. During lunch, the church gets destroyed, and a big man appears and sends Tota flying. It's revealed that he's using a magic app that fires bullets of compressed air. Karen fights him and cuts him in half. She reveals that he's not dead, and he shoots a beam at her from his eyes, which gets blocked. Both his top half and bottom half then attack Karen. He launches multiple blades at Karen that strips her naked. She has a Roman numeral of 13. It looks like it's tattooed on her back. Can't really tell though if it's tattooed or if it's just something that just appears. The man is surprised that her skin's not even broken. She defeats him and reveals that the man is a full-body cyborg. Karen tells Tota that she doubts that it'll be the last time that they see these enemies. She says that they'll have to stay around for a while. Karen reveals that her immortality does not allow her to suffer injury or death. Elsewhere, someone is speaking, and he says that the Wrecking Ball is the weakest member of the PMSCS. We're then shown a man with a sword, I think he's blind too, and a werewolf behind him. He says that they hunt immortals. Tota and Kuramaru have competition using their chi. Tota wins. Karen comments at how proficient Tota is with chi. However, Kuramaru and Karen beat Tota in arm wrestling. Karen tells Tota that in order to win at arm wrestling, he should practice Shundo. Tota then practices Shundo, leaves a lot of clouds of dust, and thinks he does it well. Someone watches him, attacks him, and tells him he does it all wrong. The guy says that he's a passing martial artist, and that the dust clouds are proof that he's not using his chi efficiently. The man shows Tota his Shundo. Tota is impressed. He then shows Tota his mid-air Shundo. The man introduces himself as the martial artist Kaito. He tells him that there are two tricks to Shundo. He tells Tota that if he can master it, then he wouldn't mind taking him on as a disciple. Kaito reveals that the first trick to Shundo is in the toes. Tota starts to do everything from normal everyday things like brushing his teeth with his feet and his toes. Kuramaru tells him that he'll teach him Shundo, but Tota refuses. Karen asks Kuramaru if he's jealous, and also asks if he likes Tota. She then asks Kuramaru if he's male or female. It's revealed that Kuramaru is a demi-human from a clan called Yata no Karasu. It's a tribe. They were born hermaphrodites with no gender until they reach maturity, which would be the age of 16. At age 16, there's a coming-of-age ceremony where Kuramaru will choose to be a man or woman. Karen attacks Kuramaru, asking what gender he'll be. She tells Kuramaru that he'll never be Tota's friend, and recommends choosing femininity. Karen then pretty much beats up Kuramaru and defeats him. Kaito approaches Negima, the man from earlier with the werewolf, and tells him that he found a kid with lots of potential in the slums and couldn't help teaching him. Negumo says that this place is the target, the slums. We're then shown Negumo, the werewolf, and another person heading to the slums. In town, one of the lower level Yuki holder bodyguards gets stabbed through the chest by a sword by these monster-like creatures. Another one of these bodyguards gets shot. Karen is naked in the shower. One of the immortal hunters enters the shower with a gun and shoots at Karen. The man calls her the Saintess of Steel, and they fight each other. At the end of the volume, the man introduces himself as Chao Xingxia. I can't really pronounce it. I think it's Xingxia. That's how I'll pronounce it, I guess. A member of the PMSCS Special Force. He tells Karen that his mission is to keep her there. Some thoughts on Volume 2. Karen. It's kind of like, so far, the Jack Rockon of Yuki Holder. You know, her immortality seems to be seems to make her indestructible, you know. She can't die, she can't get injured, so it's kind of like, you know, that automatically makes her one of the strongest there just by having that advantage. As a character, she's more like Motoko from Love Hina, kind of like very, kind of off-putting in a sense, very distant. She doesn't seem to like Tota, but seems to love Yukihime. We don't really know what all those Roman numerals were. The Roman numeral 13 was all about as well. So it's a story there. We kind of got to know Yuki Holder as an organization. Um, they complete various missions and whatnot, have their own spa, resort, and whatnot. Their intention seems relatively clear so far. Seem to be the good guys so far, you know. You got the gravity blade. It's a neat weapon. Um, there's a strong reference to Alberio Ima there as well. He most likely made the sword. That was his underground hideout. So, very interesting connection there. Also introduced Gengoro Makabe. He seems really powerful. We don't know much about him though. We don't know what type of immortality that he has either. Some villains we're introduced to are like Kaito. He's kind of interesting, you know. He has, um, well, we don't actually know what if he's actually a villain because he might be the werewolf. It's strongly hinted that he's a werewolf, but maybe he's just some passing martial artist. He obviously has some strong Shundo ability. Don't really know what he's doing there though. You know, if he isn't the werewolf. If he is a werewolf, we know that he's gonna like destroy the slums and whatnot. But so far, we don't really know what he's doing there. We find out that Karamaru has no gender. Personally, Karamaru seems to be much more female than male. I actually do not see much of any like male characteristics with Karamaru. He honestly, or I don't know if I'll call him he, I guess for now, or Zay. It would be the proper word, I guess, at this point. Zay seems to, you know, Karamaru seems to be more, just much more female. I mean, there's just no like male qualities in him. He, you know, he seems to, you know, the question was presented if Karamaru likes Tota. So, um, we'll see where that goes. Seems like PMSCS is the first major villains that we've seen so far. The objective's pretty clear. They obviously have no sympathy for the slums. Right now, they kind of just come off as hired guns. So, on to Volume 3. The volume begins with Girl needing to tell Toto something while being chased by these like monsters with guns. Kuramaru tells Tota, sees Tota with one of the slum kids, Ruki, and asks Tota if they're friends. Tota confirms that he is indeed friends with Kuramaru. A fire happens in the slums, and shadow marionettes attack Tota and Kuramaru. So that's what those monsters were, shadow marionettes. The werewolf and Negima also appear in front of Tota and Kuramaru, and the werewolf uses Shundo that's even faster than Kaito's, and sends Tota flying. The werewolf and Negima fight against Kuramaru. Kuramaru and the werewolf get their right arms cut off, but both regenerate. Using Shundo, the werewolf defeats Kuramaru. Kuramaru tells Ruki to run, and he does. Kuramaru then sees Tota lying on the ground and sees that he has a cross-shaped curse seal on his chest. The werewolf does extra damage to Kuramaru. Ruki comes back and gets between the enemies and Tota and Kuramaru. Chao Shinsei fights against Karen. He reveals himself to be a shadow master and tries to bind Karen. He stabs Karen with a knife, figures out that Karen's immortality isn't high-speed regeneration, but rewriting events as they happen. She still feels pain, though. Chao Shinsei recalls a story of a girl in southern Europe in 1492. She fell prey to the witch hunts, but nothing hurt her, and burning her at the stake did nothing. Rumors of the Saintess of Steel spread. Another girl took her away, looks like it was Evangeline, never to be seen again. He asks Karen if she is that girl. He refers to her as the Saintess of Steel. I can't really pronounce it, but Waisut Karen Orte, and admits to being in love with Karen. Karen breaks his shadow binds and gets surrounded by light. Chao Shinsei calls it Nimbus Holy Light and then defeats him. Nagumo tells the werewolf to kill Ruki, and the werewolf then launches a death blow to Ruki, but Kiramaru splits himself in half to get free and manages to save Ruki. The werewolf goes after them, but Tota gets up with his arms being like totally black. He then blocks his attack and while still having the cursed seal on him. Nagumo questions what is the miasma Tota has and speculates if it's magia arabia. Tota punches the werewolf. He doesn't know what these things on his arms are, but he feels power gushing from them. Tota beats up the werewolf and runs away with Kuramaru and Ruki. They reach a building and Karen joins them. Nagumo and the werewolf then catch up to them. Tota knows that the werewolf's true identity is Kaito, and he changes back to Kaito. Tota asks Kaito why he's doing this. He says that he gets to fight guys like Tota and will take slimy jobs to do so. Tota and Kaito then fight each other. Karen tells Kuramaru to take care of the town. Kuramaru then leaves with Ruki. So Karen fights against Nagumo, and she refers to him as Shion Nagumo of Fushigari. Kuramaru tells Ruki that they need to put out the fires, but telepathic communication is blocked. He uses a Shinmei school technique that pretty much launches like fireworks in the sky. Kaito uses a special Shundo technique on Tota called Rocket Drill, and Kaito takes Tota's heart out and smashes it in his hand. Black energy comes from Tota, and a part of Kaito's arm that's touching Tota gets chopped off. Nagumo recognizes it as magia arabia. He says that only Evangeline and her apprentice, the Master Mage, had that ability. Nagumo recalls the Fushigari, which he is a part of, hunting the mage of the beginning. They trapped the mage and Noctis Labyrinthus. The mage summoned multiple demons. Negi, using his lightning form, fights off all the demons. Nagumo calls him the most powerful and the most evil immortal. Evangeline is with Negi, and you can see the silhouettes of Fate, Chachimaru, Zaize, Mana, and Alberio Ima along with Evangeline. Nagumo was humiliated from needing the help of immortals to defeat an immortal. Tota, using Magia Arabia, beats Kaito before he could kill him. Tota stops himself, and the Magia Arabia goes away. Kaito and Tota, who are both badly hurt, settle the fight with an arm wrestling match. Tota takes hold of the earth and defeats Kaito in arm wrestling. Tota, though, will not kill him, even though Tota keeps asking Tota to kill him. Nagumo decides to leave with Kaito, but he gets a phone call. A spy droid is shown, and the person on the phone saw everything. Nagumo then fights against Tota and Karen. Karen launches an attack on Nagumo, but she suddenly gets teleported to the moon. Nagumo reveals that the phone call was a capture request. He tells Tota that he is Shion Nagumo, member of the private military company Powerful Hand and affiliate of Fushigari. Tota tries to run away, but he is still badly injured and doesn't get far, and Nagumo catches up to him. A helicopter appears. Nagumo says that it's from a private corporate military. More military trucks and troops appear and surround Tota. They tell Tota that he's coming with them, but Tota refuses. Tota fights against him, but Nagumo uses a gun that shoots stakes, and it nails him to a large rock. Yukihime is shown watching this transpire. Tota still tries to fight back, and a wall suddenly appears in front of him. Helicopters get destroyed. Yukihime appears, and she turns back into Evangeline. Nagumo and the commander of the army recognizes Evangeline. Evangeline says that the commander must be from Mundus Magicus, the magical world. They drop a large robot in front of Evangeline and Tota. They shoot at the two, but Gengoro Makabe gets between them and blocks the attack. Jinbei Shishido appears and throws a part of the ground at the robot and destroys it. Iku Emeya appears, flying above, and shoots at the soldiers. At the end of the volume, Iku, Jinbei, and Gengoro defeat the military troops easily. So, some thoughts on Volume 3, Negima. Pretty powerful guy. Definitely has some ties to Magia Rebia, hates immortals. He doesn't consider immortals to be human, but monsters. So, as a villain, his motivation seems to be clear. Seems to be pretty evil, and seems to be based upon vengeance. Also seems to be something of just a hired gun as well, but definitely does not like immortals whatsoever. Kaito, interesting villain. He's teaching, or he was teaching Shundo to Tota, but he seems like a good guy. He doesn't seem like an evil guy, unlike Nagumo. Um, he seems to love battle and fighting strong people. He's definitely one of those villains that didn't come across as a villain. And we got to see Magia Arebi up here, which is very strong tie to Negima and Negi Springfield. Tota has it. What this actually means, the story is still pretty much a mystery though. It does also make Tota something of a mystery though, as he inherited the ability that his grandfather Negi had. Um, what does this mean? He's the third user of Magia Rebia. You know, and you know he's related to Negi, so I mean I guess we see the connection there. But I didn't know it can be inherited that way. Um, but it's never actually explained in Negima how it was learned, not, but we didn't know that it was inherited. I guess it is. Also makes Tota very powerful. We know the power of Magia Rebia already. So, yeah. Karen, she's now on the moon. I suppose that with her immortality, that they have to make creative ways to fight against her. Her immortality gives her pretty much an advantage over pretty much most non-immortal opponents that aren't ridiculously powerful. So she's on the moon. She's out of commission for a while. She's seemingly one of the stronger fighters of Yuki Holder. Um, as far as other characters are concerned, we saw that Jinbei, Gengoro, and Iko are around. Um, I'm curious to see if we'll see more of them, get to know their backstories, and whatnot. You know. Also, there was a lot of talk of the slums, and actually that was quite like political and kind of moral. There's this real idea of sympathy for the poor, kind of like almost a social justice type thing. It's not unlike the refugee thing back in Negima with the magical world, but they really went really political here. Rich people want the land, they want to eliminate the poor that is currently inhabiting it. It's also caused the people living in the slums to be looked at as something like these second class citizens. Like they're there, and if they get rid of them, oh well. So it's definitely like this like moral issue that goes along here. It's quite political. The rich using their power to undermine the poor and underprivileged. It's really quite apparent there, to me at least. So that's all for today. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel if you're on YouTube, or follow, share, and comment on this channel if you're listening to this on SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. Thank you for listening to these manga reviews. Next week I will review volumes 4 to 6, and also read pages 1 to 3 of my fantasy short story, The Frog of the Crown. Thank you, and until next time.